What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 5th episode of the Mountains of Madness podcast. I am your host, Darren, and with me today I have Cathal, no nickname McGrain. You might know him from things as the first podcast that we had. I also have Evan with me.
Hey,
Gary.
Hello.
Logue.
How's it going?
My lesser half. We have Ben and Carl too.
Oh.
Why did they get lumped together?
Because they're English, I guess. I don't know. I said it, right? I said it and I was like, why did I do that? Why did I just unconsciously...
We're not in the same room.
Let's go again. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 5th episode of the Mountains of Madness podcast. I am your host, Darren. With me today, we have Evan.
Hey. Hold on, can I not be the first introduced?
Okay, let's try it one more time. Guys.
No, fuck it. Let's keep it like that.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
I think we're in. We're fucking in, boys. It's the way she goes.
That was a smooth transition, gentlemen.
This is a very special, incredibly hungover episode of the Mountains of Madness podcast today. And by incredibly hungover, I mean there's 3 of us that are incredibly hungover, and the larger majority are actually totally fine. So I do apologize ahead of time that I am deprived of sleep and most of my sanity.
You can tell when people are hungover when you ask them what time they got out of bed. What time did you get out of bed this morning, Darren?
Get out of bed or wake up?
Get out of bed. And maybe this morning isn't applicable, but what time did you get out of bed?
1:15.
Yeah, totally hungover.
I got out of bed,
7
showered, walked downstairs, sat down, and turned this on, basically.
Wow.
In fairness, that's not much more than me because I got out of bed at 10 to 1 and I wasn't drinking last night. I was just lazy fuck.
It's because you're a pussy. Anyway, I went to the gym. I had breakfast. I've had a snack.
Look at me and my adulting.
Functioning human being.
Congrats.
We're still functioning.
Yeah,
It's not very well. We're on the same level.
With
jealous.
Ben, the moment he says the word functioning, my brain fills it in automatically with alcoholic.
Well,
And then I'm kind of surprised when he doesn't say the word alcoholic. One thing I've noticed as well is we have the podcast name is Mountains of Madness, right? And then there's that scene in 300, that madness, this is Sparta. I just like a soundbite of just madness, and we could just have that on the go as well.
I think only one person should have access to that. Because if we all have it,
Chaos.
It would just be
The whole
constant
podcast.
That is a very good call.
Okay, so for the first topic today, I'm going to have Cathal introduce it. It's something that he proposed to us 4 weeks ago, and it's not had the chance to talk about yet.
Yeah, I haven't been here. It's through my own fault. So, no comment. Okay, moving on. Okay, so
Take it away, would you?
No, I was just laughing at Ben. Yeah, so the first topic is eSports. So I've been watching eSports now, I'd say, for the last couple of years. It's a controversial topic. I've met a lot of people who are just like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. So I think, what is your exposure to eSports and your opinions on it in general?
well, I have a good bit of exposure because I lived through it. So you should always be watching stuff and I would come in. And that's pretty much the entirety of my exposure. I'd never watch anything by myself.
For me, I watch a lot of football, and I enjoy sports in that sense. But I guess I do understand a little bit people's thoughts towards it being not a sport, or why would you want to watch people playing video games? At least initially, it's definitely something I've come to appreciate the more and more I've watched it. And you begin to realize it's just one of those things that's a whole different world. You're just unaware of it. And you dip your toes in and you realize then, oh shit, this isn't a pond, this is a fucking lake. And that's a question I wanted to ask. When does a pond become a lake?
Yeah, we had this debate last night.
Money, when there's loads of money involved, that's basically
Apparently it's based off if there's no light that reaches the bottom of
Oh,
it.
shit, I thought we were talking metaphorically.
But anyway, I mean, the way I think about it now is people say, why would you watch someone else playing video games? It's well, why would I watch other people playing soccer? Why wouldn't I just play soccer? It's the same thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's people that are really good at something that train and practice for it all of the time, competing at a high level. It's interesting. Even if you don't appreciate the game, well, except for League of Legends and Dota, even if you don't appreciate the game, or understand it fully, you can still sit down and watch a CSGO game. And I I'm like, what team am I watching? What player is this? Where are they on the map? I don't know any of these things, but it's still like they're just getting one taps and fucking doing all that shit. It's still really impressive to watch, you know?
Sometimes it is. I mean, half the time when you see them like switching between the knife and the gun for no fucking reason, kind of look like they know what they're doing.
Makes you move faster.
Yeah, I know it does, but they're stood still and they're just fucking tap, 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 switching between it, waiting around.
That's because they're all on Adderall and they're just twitchy.
There's that. I mean, I like watching really good Street Fighter players because they know, because Street Fighter's not just go here, shoot things, disarm the bomb. Street Fighter, there's so many different moves and combos to learn. Like my favorite one was Daigo, Justin Wong. Yeah, Daigo and Justin Wong, the Street Fighter 3 match. I'll put a link on here. It's fucking amazing watching that. Now, when I'm watching people play fucking Overwatch or wanking over something else, I'm like, fucking Dota, I'm like, nah, shit.
What about Rocket League?
Rocket League? No, I'd rather play it myself because the game's only like 5 minutes long. Rather than spending an hour watching someone play 5 minutes games for however many times, I'd rather just be playing it myself.
But it's the point where they go from your average player to just brilliance, and it's that drew me into esports a little bit, just watching Rocket League, because some of the shit they pull off, I'm looking at my controller going, how the fuck do they do that?
Yeah, I think Rocket League is a great one, and I think that can definitely go somewhere because it's really, really easy to watch. It's 3 people playing 3 people, and all they have to do is hit the ball into the goals.
Yeah, you're not like, where are they on the map? Why are they using this gun?
Yeah, and they have a car that they can jump and they can boost, and that's it. And next thing
everyone has the same amount of abilities available to them.
And just suddenly we bring in like the team plays. Like you'll have some guy going off the wall, knocking it up, and suddenly there's a guy on the ceiling that knocks it into the goals, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How did he get there?
Just
for me, like
brilliance.
Playing Rocket League for me, it was free on PSN when it first came out, and I was like, oh, I'll just download every game that's free on PSN because they're free, and I'm from Cavan. That's an Irish joke. And I played it and I was like, that's fun. Put it away. Didn't think about it. And then I came home one day when I was still living with Cathal, and he was like playing it and had that like glazed over, like tired eyes, like he'd just been playing it all day. Haven't blinked. I was like, okay, so Cathal seems to be into this. And then cut to like 2-3 weeks later, and Cathal's casually watching some people playing it, and there's people flying through the air and on the ceilings and like boosting up and controlling. And I was like, wait a minute, you can do that in this game? Because I just had such a surface level enjoyment of it initially, and then just forgot about it. Then suddenly people are, I don't know, man. It's like I'm in Dragon Ball Z and I'm like Krillin or something, and then Goku just goes Super Saiyan, and I'm like, well, that's
a whole different level.
It's a whole different level.
Well, that's interesting.
Over 9,000, if you like.
Yeah, I was setting you up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary.
The way I would look at it is, I get, people might want to watch it to appreciate the skills of people involved and people playing at a really high level. But what I don't get is people being invested in which team wins or leagues or any of that kind of stuff. If you're watching for the skill, like, will you not just retroactively go back and watch the best matches? But then again, I have no real interest in spectator sports. I would very rarely sit down and watch a game of football. I don't follow any teams or anything like that.
Yeah, you see, a lot of the following for like particular teams or players will come from Twitch, like streaming and stuff. Because you'll see a lot of them.
It's a community I'm not a part of at all. Like,
yeah, exactly. So you'll see a lot of the really successful Twitch streamers are some of the most popular players in their various esports, and obviously they'll have a big online following, and then they'll broadcast all the tournaments on Twitch, and they'll everything will be done towards like streaming and online accessibility, and then it's just so easy to support them by just being there and watching them and spamming some shitty ass emotes in chat that you can it's just the easy thing to do. Whereas if you want to like support a football team properly, you kind of have to. You don't really have to, I suppose, but you can go. You got to go and go to a football game. You got to buy your tickets. You got to go somewhere. Like, whereas esports, it's just easier. I think that's probably.
They do have events though with people there.
Huh?
Oh no, yeah, for sure. Like they have LAN events and everything, but the vast majority will just be online. Interaction, I would say.
Yeah, but like everyone's saying, go back and watch the best matches. But like, I could do that with football as well. But I love watching football live because it's exciting. And tournaments are exciting live because you don't know who's going to win.
Yeah, I just don't find that exciting. Like,
I like the live aspect. And then for esports, just great. They can have an entire tournament over like one weekend, and you're like, I'm going to watch like 2 or 3 hours on the Friday. Semi-finals will be on the Saturday. And then the Sunday, you have a grand final. And you can watch this team progress through a tournament. You can see how they adapt to playing other teams, what other teams have done. You can really see that they've gone back and watched the matches over such a short period of time.
I would need to be so invested in it though, either the game itself or the team or the individuals. If I knew somebody, for instance, but I don't, and it's with many sports now, not just esports, but I just don't get the desire to watch. I think there's mainly boxing now where I can quite happily watch that and still get excited with the outcome. But esports, I mainly started watching other people play the games and then competitive players, the best of the best, to try and improve how I play and take some tips away and take some ideas away. That's the biggest thing. And the thing I was only looking at this morning, GT Sport. I didn't realize how big the competition is, and the fact that the FIA is involved, and the trophies are about the same size as the people holding them because they're just regular old guys, regular young kids just playing this racing game. It's insane how massive some of them get. I mean, we're not talking like career size levels here. We're just talking GT Sport and then smaller stuff, like you say, online only, like Rocket League. But I don't even know if there is a venue for Rocket League. But I can't imagine getting up and going, great, I'm going to Leeds today to go and watch a Gran Turismo tournament with loads of other players. I just can't imagine that.
You come and see me. Hey!
I can't imagine that either.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from with that, in the sense that all the esports that I've followed and been interested in have been games that I play, and like mostly games that I've been playing at the time. So it has kind of come from a place where I'll watch a streamer or like watch a tournament to see how like top level teams play together, and then try apply some of those strategies to like when I'm playing myself with a team or something like that.
And the problem with that,
I think after a while, it just you kind of get more into it. I guess you kind of like Darren said, it is a whole different thing. It's a whole different like world of competing against other people and having people watch it. So I think after a while, you just kind of get sucked into it. And like even with like taking CS:GO as an example, the casters are fantastic at really getting people into it. Like you've got color casters and you've got well, mainly color casters would be people that kind of try to hype everything up and stuff. And initially you're like, you mightn't even understand it, but then like after a while you're just like, oh man, these guys are so great at what they do. It's hard to actually not get into it.
I actually hate that. Hate that. Yeah, that's the thing that I hate the most. All the fucking commentators and everything getting really fucking hyped about it. I'm like, no, it's so American. You can tell they're American the way they talk.
You would get hyped over a football match that you're watching.
No, I don't like football anyway. But even then,
this is a disconnect. Is that if you don't like sport,
I like boxing.
Sport.
I like boxing and don't mind F1 occasionally. But...
So you like boxing and you like professional Street Fighter players. There seems to be a little bit of a connection there.
Yeah.
What about the is it casters you call them? What about the commentators in boxing? Because when shit gets going, the guys step in and go, "Oh, it's fucking on! It's on the ropes! Can it go?"
I can. If they were on there, I'd be fine. I can watch it. I don't need to be prompted when I should get hyped. Like canned laughter in comedy, I don't need to be told when to laugh.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I see your point.
If I understand something and know what's going on, I don't need someone to fucking prompt me. Look, you should be getting excited now.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're watching an esport like something like CS:GO, like I said earlier, like, and I don't know what the implication of some things are or how significant a certain thing is, when a commentator's going, unbelievable, I'm like, okay, that was definitely a significant thing.
Arnold Schwarzenegger from Total Recall there.
Yeah. Inhuman reactions.
But it's based on the quality of the commentating as well. Like, some commentators are just hype commentators and they just scream. Whereas other commentators will be like, oh my God, that was an amazing play. He did this, this, and this. And they get hyped because like it's an amazing play to them. But like they don't scream.
What I can't stand about the commentators is their stupid fucking suits. And their stupid clothes. Because you can tell that these guys are fucking like just nerdy basement dwellers. Like they can't dress themselves. It's just like, I'm gonna put on something fancy, Quantum Nebula, and they just look like such fools.
Semler is all I can think of.
Yeah, Semler.
Like, seriously,
have
like in this case,
18 different suits flashing through my head.
So bad.
But I think that's definitely an attempt at kind of legitimizing esports, because as Cathal was saying, a lot of people are like, oh, it's not real sports. Oh. And so they dress up and they try and mimic the conventions of real sports. And I think maybe they hamstring themselves in certain ways there if they're not willing to do things different and play to how different their medium is.
Yeah, but you can see like E-League, for example, is now broadcast on TV.
Yeah, on Turner.
On Turner.
Actually,
Yeah.
I saw an ad for Rocket League there on Sky One like 2 weeks ago. I was like, wait, what? This is a thing now for TV?
Yeah, sometimes. But
Wow, okay, that's pretty cool.
the presentation for E-League is very different, like to a traditional esports event. Because it's on TV and it's done by TV producers, it's a lot more professional.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more structured. He has like someone in his ear saying, you know, cut to this topic now, or they already have discussed what they're going to bring up, who's going to do each point, so there's not people talking over each other. They're not making stupid jokes. And the commentary is aimed at people who have a base understanding of the game, or even no understanding. And they really break down plays with that in mind. So, I mean, that kind of counteracts what you're saying. Like, if you watch E-League, like, they are trying not to make it like that.
I just open Google and type in how to dress. That's all I'm asking. I did want to go back to something Gary said, though, where you said that you would mainly watch esports of a game that you're currently playing.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, totally understand that. I mean, you used to watch a lot of CSGO. You don't play CSGO much anymore, if at all. So I doubt you're still watching professional CSGO matches.
So like I was saying, I got into it mainly because I wanted to improve my own skill and improve my kind of like team play at the time. And then it was like you just kind of get into it. But when I stopped playing CSGO, obviously the kind of residual, routes I had for like teams that I really liked, or things like that, essentially they kind of like stayed. So I would watch like big tournaments or like teams that I really liked, or I would check back in after like 2 weeks of not looking up anything CSGO related. But yeah, not nearly as much as I would have before when I played a lot of CS.
Another thing that I just wanted to touch on that you mentioned as well, that you would watch it and see the highest level of players and how they perform, what sort of tactics they employ, and so on, and then try to take some of that and apply it to when you're playing. Having played Overwatch and attempted to do that, it's really, really, really... It's a lot easier said than done, put it that way.
Yes. So,
I mean, because these guys are playing in a way to react to the way that players like them play.
Exactly.
So when you're trying to do things that pro players are doing against other pro players, but you're doing them against people
not
at your
pro
skill
players,
level,
and you're not a pro player,
it just
yourself.
doesn't work. And then you're like in a lobby, and unless you have 6 people all doing that thing, it's still not going to work. It's like, why didn't you go in? Why didn't you push with me? Why didn't you do this? Why? It's like, because you're just depending on idiots to not be idiots,
Yeah, for sure. See, I think Overwatch is a little bit of a different thing there, because there are certain heroes, and I'd say I'm not familiar with MOBAs myself, like not really at all, but I'd imagine it's very similar in Dota and League as well, in the sense that there are some heroes who are very good against people who are low skill. Whereas if those heroes were played in a pro match, they would just get eaten the fuck up because they're all really, really good. So, or like certain strategies. So you go for like a really cheesy strat in a pro game, and you're just gonna get shit on because they know exactly what to do. Whereas if you are playing against a really cheesy comp and you're the only one on your team who knows what to do, you're probably gonna lose. Even if you've watched countless Overwatch tournaments and you know exactly the perfect comp, you're gonna have to convince 5 other people to pick that comp and play it properly.
Running 2 snipers and no healers is a perfectly viable strategy, right?
No. No.
Especially when you're pushing a payload.
4 DPS, let's go.
Jesus Christ.
I think if you're looking at your general day-to-day gameplay, where you're just looking at a few things to improve how you play and you to become better, you can't be looking at plays because you don't have a regular team. You can't be looking at team structure again because you don't have a regular team in all cases. So you're looking about how you can change your habits, how you can remember a few things in gameplay, how you're positioning yourself, what you're doing with certain types of guns, what you're doing with certain kinds of perks. I'm thinking more about Destiny 2 here, just briefly. I know it's not an esport. I don't know whether they're still trying to make it one.
I doubt it.
Yeah, no custom games. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's based on its current format. I can't see it, but I'm playing it now in PvP and trying to improve by looking at some other players and how they mix perks together, how they mix a play style together. Because in that game, it is just team shoot or die, but some people are breaking through with similar alternatives. So I'm looking at these other players, not on an esports level, because there isn't one, but still considered the best of their category. Just giving tips, general tips. This is changing your habits, changing how you react, what your first reactions would be. I think that's as far as you can go, really, unless you're a team that are driving towards an esports kind of level.
Yeah, and like I was saying, with like I think it kind of depends on the game that you're watching as well. Like with CS, that is like 100% team-based game. There are individual plays you can make. You know, like there's never a round that's fully over until everybody's dead, or it's not mathematically possible for them to defuse the bomb or something like that. But there's you can see by like looking at the mini map like how they rotate together or how they do that, and like I was saying, at the time I was on a team as well, so I could directly apply that, tell the other 4 people on my squad, this is what you guys got to do, loosely based around that pro strategy we've seen, and then you'd give it a go in a game against a team of your own level, and like most of the time it would work.
What if you get people that aren't on your level who just don't give a fuck and don't listen to you?
Oh yeah,
People
of
like
course.
Carl.
But you're just gonna get that.
Yeah, but like I was saying, at the time I had a group of 4 dudes that were very similar skill level to me that I played with all the time. So we could talk about these strategies and kind of nail them down and get the teamwork going. But yeah, if you're just solo queuing, then it's essentially useless, that information, because it's a totally different game almost.
But the thing is, you're always going to watch something that, like, let's just say in anything besides gaming, football, sports, or any outside games like golf or darts, just like take darts, for example. If you play darts, you're going to watch it on television and be like, oh my God, this player is, or what do you call a person who plays darts? A player?
I don't actually know.
Yeah.
A darts player.
A darter.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're just gonna,
A
darter. A darter. Anyway, but you're going to be like, oh my God, this guy has such accuracy and he's going up against another person who is of the same skill level as him. You're going to watch people who are always going to be better than you just because you're interested in that certain game or sport or anything. Like, as what Cathal was saying, he watches Rocket League and stuff like that because he currently plays it and he wants to get better at it. You're always going to watch stuff where people are better than you just to see if you can pick up any tricks or tips, and for the sheer enjoyment of it as well. So
yeah, but I think it's like there's 2 different types of games that you're talking about. So you've got your really team-based games, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, Overwatch, where it's like you can't just watch as an individual and be like, I can do this stuff, I need to replicate this. You can maybe for Counter-Strike, you can pick up position and tips,
and
that
like
sort of stuff.
free aim and nades and shit. But aside from,
but then you have like Rocket League or Street Fighter, where it's really based on what you do. I mean, Rocket League has a bit of team play, but a lot of it is based on where you are on the pitch. Like, you can really learn a lot from just watching the pros, and that can help you carry your team. And like Street Fighter as well, it's like he's doing this thing. I can do that thing if I do those exact buttons, and it won't get fucked up by some other guy being stupid on my team.
Oh yeah, I was just saying though, you're always going to watch something that you're playing because of the sheer enjoyment out of watching someone who is better than you pull off certain things where you're just like, holy shit, how the fuck did he do that? I can't do that. I want to be able to do that, and just watch it for the sheer awe of it.
So what do we think about a trend I've noticed recently, which is that a lot of games that don't necessarily benefit and need to be competitive or esports, people trying to make them esports. Like every big multiplayer game that comes out now, you can see that they angle towards being like, oh, we want to, have tournaments. We want to have our competitive ranking systems. We want to keep everything super balanced.
The crowd lets it decide if it's going to be a fucking esport or not the developers.
Yeah, but developers will push for things being esports sometimes, I think, to the detriment of the game. Like, look at Team Fortress 2 is a classic example of a game that was never meant to be hugely competitive. It wasn't meant to be balanced. It was just meant to be fun. And my God, it was fun. Whereas Overwatch from the get-go, it's maybe not suitable for high-level competitive play in the same way that Counter-Strike is. I think they kind of tried to force square pegs into round holes there.
Yeah. Well, there's the obvious, a whole shitload of money to be gained from it. Like, if it is the dev that's doing it, it's like, right, let's make this game casual enough so everybody can play it, but you can play it at a really high level enough so that it can be an esport. But I think there's a distinction to be made between games that you can have a tournament for and esports. And I think like a really good example would be PUBG. A lot of people are saying PUBG is going to be an esport. I don't think, the way it is now anyway, it's like
No way.
not even close to being ready to be an esport. You can
would
have a
need- there's so
PUBG
much luck
tournament.
involved, like.
Yeah, you can have a PUBG tournament all
So
day.
what's-
You
what
can get 100
categorises-
people.
What categorizes an esport? What do you need in the foundations of the game?
Yeah,
to,
see,
be-
it's
to become one.
It's kind of
It needs
It's
to
strange.
be easy to watch.
yeah, it's because it has to be competitive. Like first of all, I would say the main thing for people, it needs to be fully competitive. But yeah, I mean, like Carl said, I think it needs to be easy to watch. It's a strange one. I'm
What
not really sure.
competitiveness, are you talking pace of the game, or are you talking?
No. So by competitive, I mean, I guess in a sense fair, but
Balancing.
also yeah, like balanced. To the point that there's not one thing you can do that could just kill, or kill everybody, but like win a game immediately. It needs to be like skill based, needs to be relatively balanced, and like not all of them, but I'd say the majority of esports are going to be team games as well.
There should be little to no randomization or random luck element to it. So, for example, in PUBG, if you wanted to make that competitive, you would need to have the same loot, the same frequency across like every 15 squared meters, you have to have the same exact guns or something like that.
Yeah.
Anywhere, if you get lucky and you land somewhere and you happen to get something better than somebody else, then it can't be a competitive.
But that takes
Yeah.
fun out of it, which is what I was saying.
Yeah,
Some
totally.
games don't need to be and should not be
Exactly.
esport as we think of them now.
Yeah. I mean, you look at like a game of rugby or a game of tennis, for example, right? You have the exact same size of the court each. You know the height of the net. You have your own racket that's a standardized racket and a standardized ball. So it is purely down to the skill of the individual or the individuals involved to make that a competition. You don't go in and have different sized areas of a basketball or the tennis court every time you play the sport. Or you can't go and buy a better racket than your opponent because you've got more money.
That's why. Yeah, that's why I preferred Halo 3.
I was going to say Halo 3 could have been an esport.
Yeah, because everyone starts with the same gun, same sidearm. It's just a race to get to the best guns on the map. That's why I think Destiny fails compared to Halo 3. It's just not as balanced. Everyone's got whatever gun they unlocked. Oh, look at this gun! I've got what you haven't got, because you might never get it.
But then you've got things that make a game fun and keep a game alive, going against what can potentially make it an esport. So I think Destiny will never get there, but then certain games will never get there because it takes the fun out of the game and then turns it into a sport. It gets back to the conversation about having a job that we enjoy. Do they still like playing Street Fighter 2 or Overwatch because they know it's fair game across the board? It's just on skill. It's no longer fun as a game to play.
Yeah, see, I know with Overwatch in particular, like a lot of the Overwatch pros like fucking hate the game. Like they essentially moved from TF2 for cash grab. Like they hate the game because there's so much in it that's like, there's certain comps that are really good that if you want to play a hero that you enjoy, for instance, and they are running a certain hero, you just straight can't play them because they're just going to get so hard countered that you're just going to lose, and it's not
If you
competitive.
enjoy playing Farah and they just happen to have 2 hit scan heroes,
Yeah,
long
you're fucked.
distance,
Like, yeah,
you just can't play Farah.
Yeah.
Well, you can, but you're going to lose then. You're basically just guaranteeing that
pretty much.
no matter
yeah.
what you do, it's going to be 5v6 in most scenarios.
Yeah. Like, unless you're like truly exceptional and your teamwork is so good that, you get your, I don't know, you get your Winston to always be on those 2 hit scans so they can't have a line of sight on the Farah, and, then it can take it to a level where it's like, wow, they used team play to overcome something that's almost in the game. Then it's like, wow, that's like super impressive. But there are some things in like games that just, they're too difficult to overcome for like any team or any level of team play.
Mm-hmm. If you standardized the hero selection for Overwatch and every team had the exact same 6 people, for example, it would be a little more balanced. But then it takes the fun
Yeah.
out of it because it's a game that's designed to allow you to switch the heroes, so you can counter and counter.
Kind of a
It's
key
a
element of
constant a rock paper scissors.
What they could do is bring in a pick ban, which they have in some other like hero.
Yeah, they have in
what do you
League, I
call
think,
those
right?
games?
But then that's serious concessions that you're making just to make it an esport as well. You know, going back to Evan's point.
Well, I mean, that's
you're fitting a square peg into a round hole.
Well, I mean, that's what they do for League, I think. I don't even know if there's a pick ban in normal play, but in all tournaments, you can ban out a hero. But you each get a ban, and then they pick.
Okay. Yeah, but League's for scrubs.
Yeah, I mean, League is a shit game.
But as far as I understand, it's either League or Dota. One of them have like map imbalances where it's meant to be like 3 tracks, but some of the bonus you get will spawn closer to one team or the other. So then you can rush for one of those bonuses and then push that lane, and I don't know, stuff happens and it's a terrible game and you can snowball it.
Yeah, I think that's League.
It's either League or Dota. I watched an 1.5 hour long video about it one time and I was like, I don't care about this game. Why have I wasted an 1.5 hours?
Yeah. See, I mean, a pick ban could work for Overwatch, but I mean, I don't really even think it's necessary because, like I said, there's some things in the game that are so easily countered that you don't even need to pick ban it. You just pick a different hero on your team and they can't play that hero because they just get fucked. As long as, assuming a decent skill level of all the players in the game.
Well, I think that's where Rocket League works really well.
Yeah,
it's
all
simple
standard
mechanics. Yeah, it's all standard. I mean, you have different cars and different sizes, but that's
different hitboxes, right?
Hitboxes, yeah. But that's just your preference.
But that's like saying soccer can't be a sport because some players are faster and some players are taller.
Yeah, exactly. But I know the pros love that game.
Yeah.
Because Psionics have supported it so well. And they've brought so many fun game modes in that like I watch pros streaming and they're playing like 4v4 or they're doing custom games or they're doing Rumble or they're doing ice hockey. Or they're doing, volleyball. They even make your own game modes now.
Mm-hmm.
It's great support for the game, and then simple to watch, simple to play at a base level, but very hard to master.
Yeah,
I think that's what makes a good esport.
Yeah, for sure.
So does Rocket League win the Mountains of Madness esport of the year award?
Yeah, why not? It's got my vote.
Yeah, it's the game I keep going back to. I never get bored of it. Keep going back to it, and it just pulls me in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I would
fair
still edge towards CS:GO in just a purely competitive sense. But I mean, that is as somebody who doesn't watch Rocket League really at all. So, I guess I would be biased in that sense.
Mind you, it is the game that we all keep ending up going back to. So, is Rocket League on PlayStation?
So can I ask a question to maybe round out a bit of the esport conversation? Where do we think esports is going? Because right now we can see it's gaining ground, gaining popularity. It's being played on network television now, like ESPN 27. Like, do we think it's going to keep continuing to get bigger? Do we think it'll teeter off? Is there a cap? Is there an upper limit?
I think it'll only get bigger because there's so much money in it that it's, even if that isn't viable money, there's going to be a bubble effect where investors see there's gold in them their hills and they start throwing more money at it, so more people get involved.
There was money in Pokemon cards at one point, though.
Yeah, but I don't think it's quite as a diverse way of making money. It's not something that you can invest in the same way in terms of like tournaments and stuff, because esports is a very broad thing. But yeah, the more money gets thrown at it, the more advertising, the more people watching it, the more money, so on and so forth. And that bubble probably will either peter out or pop eventually, but it's just going to keep blowing up as long as that keeps going on. And we're going to see games being made that are specifically trying to like become esports or get some of that esports money from the get-go. They're not even going to, they'll drop the pretense of caring about casual players. They'll just be like, this is an esports game. We don't give a fuck about the rest of us.
Carl, did you have a question?
Yeah, actually, about FIFA. Is that an esport? Seems like it's an actual sport game itself.
Yes, FIFA is played to a professional degree, I think.
It's something that works well, I think, as an esport.
Yeah, do you watch it? Do you watch people play FIFA, or do you prefer to play it yourself?
I prefer to play it myself. I would never, ever watch someone play FIFA.
You'd watch football, though.
Because I'd watch football. I think that's the difference. FIFA, to me, I mean, it's a weird one. Because you can obviously just pick You pick a team that you prefer, team with different players and stuff. And I mean, if you're, let me put it this way, right? So there's a couple of game modes. One of them is called, I think it's like Pro League or Pro Tournaments or whatever. And basically the way it works is there's just different numbers of leagues, and you win a certain number of games and you get promoted to the next league until you get to like tier 1. And then basically you just play to like stay within your tier, and if you lose a certain number of games you go down again. And it's just basically just like a competitive ranking system, not like a huge number of awards or anything or rewards for going performing in it, but it's based off a star system. So if you say I want to play with a 4-star team, 4 or 5-star team, it will match you against another player who has picked a 4-star team. But then if you pick a 5-star team, like for example Manchester United, 99% of the players you match up against are playing as Real Madrid or Barcelona, which are both 5-star teams, but they're better teams to play with because they've simply just got faster players with better dribbling, and that is 90% of FIFA is just be fast and you win. So you're playing against evenly matched teams, but if you make one mistake, you're just hitting the counter and you concede because you've got Ronaldo playing as a striker, and you're just like, well, you're just fucked. So then if you want to play as a 5-star team, you really have to start picking Real Madrid. And then literally the leagues become Real versus Real or Barca versus Barca for most games. It just takes the fun out of it then, because now you're just being shoehorned into picking 2 teams.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame, that, because you like to have diversity and probably pick as your favourite team. I found out the other day that I've always said for years that if you're going to do a football game online to make it really immersive, you only play as one player and you've got 11 players on each side. And apparently you can't do that. Yeah, that's what I found out the other day. But the goalkeeper, he's going to get fucking bored, isn't he?
Yeah, most of the time people will play with an AI goalkeeper because it's a shit show.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But you make your own player as well, so you can make him like ridiculous, like big ass nose and an afro and like really fat if you want. And you and all your mates play together.
Can you map your face on it with the camera?
They did that a while ago, like 3 or 4 FIFAs ago. You could take a picture of yourself from different angles, and then it just basically just is like it prints out a mask of your face and stretches it over something. It looked weird, man.
Yeah,
it looked weird. It was horrifying, but you could do it. Yeah.
Back in Fight Night Round 4, me and Ben used to play that. He had the Xbox camera. We mapped my face on one of the characters, so it was me, but like 6'8", and like built like a fucking brick shithouse. And so you can pick your gown. I've got like a purple sequin gown. You pick your theme tunes. I'm walking down to fucking Cohen and Cambria, welcome home, like with my fucking proper tank. Cool. It was fucking ace. But like games don't really do that now. I know that the new NBA 2K games can do that, but you need the PlayStation camera to do it. You can't use a phone camera or anything.
The best thing about that was when we used to, because I had my character in there as well, was when we used to fight each other and then watching the slow-mo sweat, just being stripped of sweat in slow motion sideways, being knocked the fuck out. And you could just see Carl's face as he'd just get knocked out in slow-mo and his lips are all over the place and he'd just fall to the ground. And it looked, because Carl's character didn't have any hair for some reason. It really did look like him. And it was just great. I used to save replays and take videos of it, and we used to be in tears watching these replays.
He has no hair because he shaves it on the character.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm not bothered to shave.
Is that like a mini game?
But yeah, it's something I've always wanted to do, but I've never had a large enough group of friends, is to have like even 4 or 5 people and we all just play our own like online league thing and each just play one player. Problem with it is, because you're so used to playing with all 11 players, you need to train yourself to stop running after the ball. If you're playing as a striker, you need to be up front. If you're running all the way back to chase a guy in midfield and then suddenly you break, you're like, well, I'm a striker and now I'm the last man back. So you need to actually play like you're a football player and keep your position, which, to be honest, isn't as much fun.
No.
Yeah,
because
you
aren't
just
engaged.
In one spot.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway.
That's why Rugby League is so popular.
Because you have to do a lot of work.
But someone probably should chase back. I mean, you don't want to have everyone on the ball, but because I suppose there's fewer players, you're going to be on the ball at least a third of the time. Whereas in football, you could be just like standing in the back corner, twiddling your thumbs all game.
Well, you need to play Rocket League with me and Carl, because Carl's never back, ever. Even if you're up front and you're on the ball, Carl is right behind you all the time.
I
I was
love
gonna,
it.
me as well.
I was just going to ask a question, Darren, on FIFA. You know, when you were talking about what is essentially the meta in that game being Barca or Real all the time.
For that particular game mode, yeah.
For that game mode because you can buy points, FIFA points or something like
So
that.
that's a separate game mode. That's FIFA Ultimate Team.
So you can't buy the best team or best players or anything like that, where you can then play as those. So you can't buy your way to success in that.
You
game mode.
100% can, but not in that game mode. You just pick
Okay.
the teams as they exist IRL.
Okay.
You can't transfer players. There is Ultimate Team, which is the FIFA cash grab, where players are like cards and you
Yeah.
open packs and then you assemble a team and players play better together on a system called chemistry. So if players are on the same team, they're from the same league or the same nationality, they get chemistry points. And the idea is that you want to get up to 100 chemistry, where each player on the field has a maximum of, I think, 10 chemistry, but you can have some bad chemistry and some good chemistry and make up like 100. And the idea is that you buy cards and buy packs, and there's also an open market. So if you buy a pack and you get a very good player, you can sell that player based off a market, and you can kind of play the market a little bit, get money, and then use that money to invest in other cards that might become more popular. So for example, you might buy a player now, let's say you buy a Messi card now, or you have a Messi card now, and then Messi transfers to Man City in January. Suddenly, the Barcelona Messi is no longer available in packs because he now plays for Man City. So his price would skyrocket and stuff like that. So you can kind of play the market a little bit in that sense, and then you build your team. But the way it works is you can either use coins you get in game from winning matches or trading cards, or you can buy FIFA points with real life currency, and then just buy as many packs as you want. There's also businesses. Sorry, just to finish my point. There's also businesses now that instead of buying FIFA points and buying packs, you can instead just buy coins, which allow you to buy players instead. So you can kind of circumnavigate the random chance of buying packs and just buy coins off Chinese lads who just sit around farming all day, and then just go and buy, Ronaldo and all those players, and just build all the best players in one team if you wanted.
So it's a rather intelligent way of a rather intelligent mode they've developed and all this chemistry and everything else, but it's a very shallow attempt at making loads of money.
But they're not even shy about it. Like,
yeah, it's a bit shit. That's probably where esports are going. Some kind of money invested in is money coming out, maybe.
Well, see, I don't know.
Not just time.
I don't know. I think by kind of definition, it needs to be like, even at the start. You can't like buy upgrades or whatever to. I know. I immediately think like weapons, like CS:GO and Overwatch and stuff like that. But I think it needs to be kind of by definition, like a fair game. You can't pay to win because, it wouldn't be as competitive, I guess.
I think they're gonna start pushing more and more on that boundary to see at what point things tip over.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
not saying they will. Just saying maybe they'll push all the way up to the top before you do have to buy something or you do have to pay for something, to a DLC pack or something, for instance.
Look at Magic the Gathering, for example. That is a pay-to-win game, if ever there has been one. And the competitive scene for that, the tournaments and stuff, are absolutely huge, massive prize pools. So maybe, and I wish it were otherwise, but maybe people are willing to just get absolutely shafted and put a load of time into pay-to-win games, and they can actually become like legit esports.
I used to play a mobile game. I can't remember what it was called now. Kingdom of Avalon or something like that. And me and Emily were playing. Emily's my wife. We were both playing this because we were playing it with each other. It was quite fun. But then it got to a point where everything was time locked or gated behind something. And then you would reach players in certain clans. So you join a clan and then you'd go to war with other clans. It was fun to an extent. You got up to this point where you couldn't even compete or play if you hadn't invested real money in there. And then they would give you these little 99p offers, these little 79p offers, and then you got to the 3.99 packs, the 7.99 packs. But there were people who were considered the best in the little server instance that you have or that you're in, and they would have spent thousands. I mean, we were talking to one guy who was in our clan, and he was the best guy in our clan, and he would just teleport into other people's areas, other people's towns, if you like, where their castles are stored, because they group them all up and then you get benefits. And he'd teleport right into the middle and just decimate every castle. And then we asked him one day how much money he'd spent, and he'd spent in excess just on this new version of Kingdom of Avalon, whatever it's called. £14,000 he'd spent on this.
Shit.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a certain type of person out there, whether he's just really well off, or whether he's just from a very rich background, who just hammers money into these kinds of games, just sits around all day playing these kinds of games. And,
There's always that person though that's just the best at some niche server, niche game, and they're just like, I don't care, I'm spending money because I feel like I'm the best in this one particular scenario.
But 90% of the revenue in these kind of games doesn't actually come from people like, casual players spending €1 here or €1 there. It comes from milking people who, I hesitate to say have problems, but a lot of the people that go and spend like thousands of euro on mobile games do have problems. Like it's not healthy behavior in a lot of instances where it happens, and it's a very predatory business model.
Mm-hmm. Logue, did you have something to say there? I thought I heard you.
Yes, I did. I was asking, can real money be made from the FIFA? Let's just say if you get a Messi card, that's really good. Another way you were saying that the market goes up and down. Let's just say I have a card. Can I sell it to you for real currency?
There's no way to do that in game, but if you come up to me and said, I'll give you a tenner if you sell me Messi for 1 coin in the game. So really, you're not spending in-game money, but you're spending real life money.
Yeah, that's
you can do that. But I mean, it doesn't really work that way. Normally, you'll have like one company that will sell you coins, then use those coins to buy cards. I don't really see people having cards and then making money off that. But I'm not invested in Ultimate Team, so.
Yeah, no, but you can be abused for that system. You can get this like holy fuck card, and someone will want that, and you can be like, yeah, give me like 20 quid, and I'll give it to you.
Yeah, so that actually raises a good point I wanted to make and actually mention as well is if you are a real life footballer, a real life player, and you ask EA, they will make you an Ultimate Team card of yourself, but you'll be like 99 rated. So you'll be the highest possible rating, and it's you. So you could be a football player that's like 65 rating in game, but EA will make you a hyper version of yourself, and you're like incredible. All your stats are really, really good, and there's only one card in existence of you. And they have like a special like blue color to them as well. So if you ever match against somebody that has a player card that's that color of blue, you know that it's the actual player. But there was one case. I think where Joey Barton sold his card. So he sold his card. He auctioned it off and then gave it to some lad, and he had like this 99 Joey Barton card. So that's interesting. I think that there's
that's actually kind of cool
system. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Like, I wish that was done in more games. Like, you'd have one complete absolute god rod of a weapon or something that's like so incredibly powerful that everybody wants it. And
there's been stuff like that in World of Warcraft with some of the legendary weapons. Yeah, like Frostmourne and stuff.
That's pretty cool.
2 drops a server, and that was like the Lich King's actual sword.
Yeah, it happens in some MMOs as well. But I know that time it happened in Destiny. That guy was dying, or he had cancer or something, and Bungie said, "Look, here's this weapon. You can have it."
Fate of
All Fools. It was a brain tumor.
It was Fate of All Fools, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was meant to be the original version of the Stranger's Rifle, but his wife got in contact with Bungie and Dage, and they basically gave him the gun for free, and were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you can have this." They've also done similar stuff where a woman asked her husband to propose to him, and they created a warlock bond. I don't know the title of it, but it was basically saying, "Will you marry me?" and created a special emote for her where it goes down on one knee with holding the ring up to him, and she proposed in game to him.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And we're like, oh, that's actually really, really funny and nice.
Yeah, but no fucking custom game still. What the fuck's up with that?
Come on, Dage.
So talking about spending money and real life money on in-game currencies and things, let's talk about the hot topic of the week being loot boxes. There's a lot of talk about loot boxes in the news these days. A lot of controversy. In particular, there was news that surfaced this week, slow news week, that there's a patent filed in 2015 by Activision. Basically, a strategy in which players that invested money in loot boxes to get items in games would be matched against players that have not spent money on loot boxes with worse gear, to encourage those players that have not spent money on the game to spend money on the game to be as good as the guys they're matching against. So basically, you spend money, you get a good gun, and they match you against people that do not have good guns. So you have a natural advantage for spending money on the game. Other than just
so basically, they're showing off their weapons and be like, "Oh, hey, look at me! Look what I've got! You don't have it. Here, spend money on this, so you can have it too."
But it's already pay to win. But now it's like pay to just shit on some noobs, so that they have to spend money to match up with you.
That's wrong on so many levels. Just play the game. You'll see shit that you want and be like, "Oh, how do I get that? Oh, I have to pay for it. Grand. If I want it, I'll get it."
Yeah.
We were talking about this last night, actually. Was it, Ben? Last night or the night before?
Yeah.
And we heard about this. I thought, that's just what happened to the good old days. And there was another talk about this, like value for money. Like, what do you get as DLC these days? Now, if you go back to something like Time Splitters 2, look at what the options you got in that. That would all be like pay to win today. All the DLC you pay for, all the guns. Rebel Strike on the GameCube. Again, all the mods you get in there, you'd have to pay for that as DLC. This is like DLC, but is it classed as gambling, these loot boxes? At the same time, you're getting something, what you know you're going to get something from it. You might not get what you want, but again, it's like a pack of stickers as a kid, your football stickers. Like, oh, I might get a shiny, I might get that player I get, but maybe not, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Is this the same way as a pack of stickers?
As far as I know, some organization, maybe it was in America, some gambling organization or something, decided that they weren't. There was like a petition put to them and they said, no, it's not gambling. And now there's people like trying to get it classified as gambling because you are spending money on a chance of something
That's
happening.
exactly gambling. That's the definition.
If you're addicted to gambling, like you can be addicted to loot boxes. I mean, I spent money on loot boxes in Overwatch when I was like, well, there's all these new skins out and I'm not going to have time enough to get them all. So I'll just drop 25 quid and get a few of them. Like,
but the fact that there's kids out there that are involved in this, and then they can be traded in some games for real world money. You can get a skin and then trade it outside of the game to another player for real money. Like, that needs to be regulated. You cannot have kids gambling on an open market.
No.
Yeah. See,
But that was like Pokemon cards.
Yeah, it's a little bit different though, Carl. Like, kids that's causing a problem in the future for those kids though. Like, oh my god, I'm doing this as a small child and it's fun. They get older, get a job. Oh shit, I've no money. I've lost my house, lost my car, lost everything.
But with Pokemon cards, you'd need to take money or your parents' card, go down to the store and buy it. Whereas now, you're like, can I buy this game on PlayStation? It saves your credit card details and then you can buy as many loot boxes as you want without your parents even knowing that you're doing it. You know? It's a little bit easier for you to just go and spend 500 quid on loot boxes and corrupt your young mind.
I was just going to say, just still on the topic of the gambling. There was a post on Reddit a couple of days ago. I've just tried to find it, but I can't seem to grab hold of it. A guy had pinpointed and shown everybody this is why this whole loot grind is so addictive, and the whole loot box thing is addictive. And it's because game developers are inheriting the tactics and the development strategies of the same of casinos in Las Vegas, and they go through these processes of developing their games to make them more addictive for small payoff and then a one-off chance of something good, and then you think, oh, I'll go back in and get something else that's really good, but it takes you 25, 30 more attempts to get there. And the game developers are building more and more of that into their development cycle. Destiny is a prime example, but the loot crates, that was it EA that was the first developer to do this, loot crates that you could buy.
I'm not sure.
I'm not actually sure. That's a very good question. It came from the free to play. I mean, there's always been, or not always been, but in the last 10 years, there's always been some sort of stingy way of making money in video games.
Look at horse armor.
Horse armor.
I'm still angry about
DLC was the first one. Then fucking free to play. Like, oh, play this game with me, says Shakozy. It's a free to play game, so you don't have to spend any money on it. I'm like, I'd rather spend fucking money once on a game and have the game. Don't be like, this is free to play, but grind for hours and hours to be in any way competent at it. Like, and now it's just loot boxes. It's just, it's going to blow over. Loot boxes will eventually be outed, in my opinion, and they'll die down for sure. But it's not going.
Replace them.
Something else will replace them. That's the Hydra.
Yeah.
There are still developers bucking the trend. I mean, the guys behind GT Sport have now said. I mean, the lead guy behind his name. The lead guy behind it now has confirmed all DLC is free, all cars are free.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice that big developers are still bucking that trend.
CD Projekt Red have been pretty good about that as well. They give out a lot of free stuff, and then they do, a proper expansion rather than like, oh, here's 2 missions, give us like 20 quid, but you have to pay for them in the form of a season pass before you even know what's involved in it. What you were saying there about like devs integrating this stuff into their development cycles, a lot of the bigger games, people like Blizzard and Riot, they would actually hire psychologists that have background in gambling and how people deal with like rewards and payoffs and all that kind of stuff to help them design their systems, which is it's real insidious.
Yeah, not for sure.
That just shows then there is a huge gambling aspect in it to be like, oh hey, yeah, this can be addictive.
Yeah, see, I think though what the devs would tell you though is that it's not true gambling because you put money in and you get something out always.
But
You
not what
might
the thing that
might
you
get what
want.
you want. Yeah, you mightn't get you might lose money technically if you were to. Well, I suppose that's a whole different thing because the majority of items you can get aren't really redeemable for money, for actual money. You could do what you said, do some kind of outside arrangement with somebody that is, I'll trade you this for £1, so it's a legitimate trade, but then I'll give you 20 quid when I see you next week or whatever, something like that. So the devs will always be like, no, it's not gambling. It's just people that want to get, cosmetic items, or I guess now it's kind of going into like things you can actually use in game that will give you an advantage over other people. And
Yeah.
they'll just continually deny that it isn't gambling.
Yeah, but it's got gambling aspects where it can.
Oh
be
yeah, no, of
addictive.
course that's not my argument.
No,
At all. I would say that it probably is gambling because you're like putting up an amount of money, you get something that might be worth less or more than that money to you. So I guess it's pretty much gambling.
like for me, you and adults who have sustainable jobs, we can do it. We've got the sense of mind. But for like what kids who are 10, 11, 12 doing this and are growing up being like, oh yeah, it's fine. I put money in, I get something out, and just develop that habit. It's just not going to be healthy for them when they're older.
Yeah,
I can
no,
stop
for
at
sure.
any time.
Pardon?
I'm just being funny.
Oh, you said
One
you could
thing-
stop at any time? No, you
Yeah.
can't. No, you can't.
One thing that I wanted to mention as well, in my personal opinion, I think it's less the developers deciding to introduce a system like this, and probably more so the publishers. So, like, you had Shadow of War come out recently, which has loot boxes as well. Like, there's just something that tells me that Warner Brothers are like, make the money, introduce loot boxes. I can't see a developer because they're not really making the money from it, right? They're getting paid to make a game. They make the game, and that's it.
They probably get dividends.
Probably get
sales and
dividends,
stuff.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. But it definitely is like, it's definitely the evil corporations of like EA being like, make money. I mean, EA are now even like pulling single player games apparently because they can't make more money off a single player game once they sell it. They pulled like the Star Wars single player game they were making, and they wanted to make it more. That is some stupid ass quote, but it was basically they wanted to make it like a more of like an open like MMO kind of thing, just because in that way there's microtransactions and.
Darren,
It's just something they
scummy.
throw in as DLC on the end of another Battlefront game. They're like, oh, it's a single player campaign built on the same engine, 40 quid. It's like,
there was
what?
a Star Wars single player game coming out, and I didn't
There
know about
was.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been deadly. Just to go off topic for 1 second, the last Star Wars game I played that was single player was, I think, the Phantom Menace on the PlayStation 1.
Well, you should have played Knights of the Old Republic 1
Yeah,
and
you should
2.
have played KOTOR, yeah.
Yeah, like you shit your fucking pants.
I shall do that soon.
When you get your PC, play it.
Yeah. No, I will. Like January, I will be playing a godly game.
Just back onto the developer bit. I think it's more. I know you say it is probably the publisher that's introducing that, but I think it's more about the relationship between the developer and the publisher now. Whereas you would have a developer who would have a product and then seek out the publisher for the additional funding to finish and then to get it out in the world. You've now got publishers who own development companies. So you have people like EA, who developer as well, but you have EA and Activision who own development companies and have incorporated them development companies into themselves. So they're one and the same. I think. I think CD Projekt Red is a good example of a exception, but I think the big guys now have sucked up all of these developers to keep that same mindset, which is why we're seeing loot boxes so much now and microtransactions. Also, on my earlier point as well, GT Sport, no microtransactions, no boxes, no car packs, nothing you can buy in the game, which is why it came out at full price. That's it. This is it, and then you'll get all the DLC over the next 3 years. You're in, you've bought in, and you get the lot. It's almost like a season pass, arguably, but it's only 50 quid still.
Well, that's like Titanfall 2 as well last year. I can't even believe it was EA who published it. In fact, I think the same's happening with Battlefront 2, where you don't actually have to buy a season pass. You get the game and all the DLC is going to be free. Yeah, they might have cosmetics that you pay for, but that's about it. Who really needs them?
No, Battlefront 2 will have loot boxes. They have this like card system now.
Oh yeah. But that's what I mean. The DLC itself and all the future maps and weapons, they're all free to download. You might have to use in-game currency to unlock them, but you don't have to spend a penny to actually get them in the end.
I feel like they just replaced paying for the maps with paying for loot boxes. You know, it's still a cash grab going on. You know.
Yeah, but I don't mind if it's just cosmetics. Because I don't give two shits about cosmetics. Charge people whatever you want for them. It's when I'm actually being denied content or nickel and dime for things I want. That's what gets me.
Yeah, so I don't mind loot boxes like in Overwatch.
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
It's all cosmetic, and every time they bring out new loot boxes, you get new content as well. So you get Junkenstein's Revenge or whatever it might be.
But also, you can't trade stuff in Overwatch with people. So if you get skin, you can't trade it with someone, which is good because it means that they don't develop, this economy where there's 12-year-olds trading each other stuff for real money. And, these secondary economies are just basically an illegal way of inflating the value of their virtual items.
No, for sure. And like CSGO is probably one of the biggest perpetrators in that sense. Like with the whole skins thing, like there's skins that are worth insane amounts of money in that game. And like it's even just like stupid niche things that kind of like weird little patterns that'll be on a skin that are slightly unique that somebody will pay like 10,000 euro for, and you're like, what the fuck is that, And then obviously you have the so like say for instance there's I think it's a skin for the AK and it's got like a different pattern on it, and based on the amount of blue that's on it, it's worth more. And if you get one that's fully blue, it's worth like 10 grand.
Where'd you get that from? How do you unlock that? What?
So you buy a loot box from CSGO, so you can either buy those from the market or you can earn them through getting experience. And then to open the loot boxes, you buy a key, which is standard across pretty much the whole game. And the keys cost, I think, 250 to buy, and you can use those to open the crates. And then it's essentially, there's items that are worth pretty much nothing or insanely expensive items over that,
Yeah, I know that, but the blue, the one that someone spent 10 grand on, this isn't something that some guy from day one's had. It's just something he's a lot like right now.
Yeah, like there's I'd say there's maybe like 4 or 5 ones that are like all blue and worth that amount because they're insanely rare because the pattern is deliberately designed to not have that in it as a primary thing, but when it does, it's worth more. It's people are crazy, essentially.
That is ridiculous. I thought it was like maybe a day one player who thought like, right, I don't need this.
Talking about microtransactions in games, what do you think the microtransactions will be in the Pokemon RPG when it comes out on the Switch? Or what do you think there will be microtransactions?
We know absolutely nothing about that game. So
I know it's speculating. Do you think there will be microtransactions?
It depends on the game. If the game is an online game, probably.
I don't know. It's Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't really do this that much.
Yeah, they don't really do the microtransactions,
They're
but
just behind, I think.
They could just be behind. Yeah, exactly.
Like with their console development.
Oh.
Yeah, their hardware is always a few years behind. Like it's their MO basically, gimmicks and a few years behind.
It wasn't always that case. So, I mean, GameCube was more powerful than PS2.
Reggie's going to go into the office and he's going to go, lads, you've seen this fucking patent that's just been filed by Activision. We should get right on this.
This is genius.
in terms of what microtransactions you might pay for in Pokemon, I'd say you could get temporary boosts like increased capture chance for 24 hours.
Ooh.
Well, what about Pokemon
stop
Go?
random encounters. What about Pokemon Go?
Well,
Oh,
they
yeah, I
had
completely forgot about
they
that.
had microtransactions in there. You could
Did
buy
they?
balls and
Yeah.
potions and sprays and all kinds of stuff to get you back into the game, basically. So Nintendo are on board already.
Nintendo didn't make that.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
that was Niantic.
Yeah, it was Niantic.
Shut up. Well, my
They
point's
just
still valid.
licensed the.
Well, so anyway,
Nintendo had nothing to do with it. Nintendo don't even own Pokemon.
whatever.
But
Did
they
they
own,
not?
like,
Okay, we'll
49%
see similar
or something.
things in the Pokemon game then to that. I'll get back in my box.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's outside the scope of possibility. Like, like a backpack you could buy that lets you carry extra Pokeballs around so you can capture more on one kind of route you're doing or whatever. I don't know. Stuff like
So
that.
it's not like you can go to a shop and buy like a low level like Rhydon or Machop or Machoke or what's the first version of that? Machoke, no. Machoke, yeah. Machop. That's it.
Machop, Machoke, Machamp.
Machamp, yeah. So it's not like you can go buy a low level version of an awesome mass Pokemon and then level that one up.
Imagine if like they wouldn't give you the running shoes or a bicycle and you had to spend real life money. It's like you could just walk everywhere, bitch.
That would be so bad. And
In
so
the
funny at the same time.
original, you go to the bike shop and they're like, "This bike will cost 1 billion yen," and then eventually you get it for free. But imagine if he goes, "This bike will cost €10," and you're like, "Are you fucking serious?" And it's like, "Yep."
What's your
The
credit
sad
card?
thing is, people would actually buy that straight off the bat.
I probably would like.
Yeah,
Just for the quickness.
Elder Scrolls Online. Me and Ben, when we first started playing it, we didn't have a horse. You
Shut up.
spend...
Shut up.
No,
Don't tell the
I'm
story. Don't
I'm
tell
not
the
shutting up. I am telling the story, right? In the game, you need like 10,000 gold to buy a horse.
A shit one at that.
Yeah, a shit one. Or you could do what me and Ben did, spend 15 quid in real life money and buy a real nice Frostmare horse.
It wasn't 15 quid.
It was.
It wasn't.
It was.
It was 16.99.
Well, whatever. 15 sounds better. 15 rounds it off. Anyway, we've
Actually,
paid
if
real
you're
life money for this fucking horse.
rounding to the nearest factor of 5, it would be 20.
16.99. That's
It's
15.
15.
Oh,
15, you'd round down to that one.
oh yeah, no, I'm an idiot.
Even Logue.
Cut that part out.
You on that.
Cut that part out of the podcast.
Logue eating his Weetabix.
We've established this.
Please
as
don't-
the podcast.
Please don't take that out. It's the only time that I've actually got one up on Darren.
Yeah, cut it out, Cal. Can be no
definitely.
evidence.
No, I'm taking you out of it, Logue. In fact, I'm erasing this whole part.
Oh,
I'm raising your whole part.
All right,
Okay,
so
does
that was-
anyone have anything else to say about microtransactions, loot boxes, anything like that?
The crap one should be done away with.
Yeah, the shit.
No.
Okay, let's move on to the next topic of the podcast, everybody. And I'm gonna hand it over to you, Logue, so you can get another one up on me. Go ahead and introduce your topic.
But it hasn't caught up with you yet.
No, I did. Oh, yeah, because that bit got taken out, didn't it? Now the people listening to this are like, oh, wait, what? Anyway, the part that is mine is weird food combinations. For the last, it was meant to be on the second one, but I have been away for a little bit. So some of them, I work in a restaurant or fast food establishment, which shall not be named, but I'm hating it. You don't know what it is.
It's McDonald's. you work at McDonald's.
Yes, I do.
Exposed.
Exposed now. Anyway, so
700 restaurants. No one knows which one you work in.
yes.
It's fine.
Anyway,
It's in Bray.
the sad thing is there is a McDonald's in Bray, and I don't work there.
So just to let all of our listeners in, Darren Logue lives in Bray. He gets very annoyed when we tell him he lives in Bray.
If we ever get like a bit of a following, that's gonna be something that people will say, "Oh, Logue's from Bray." No, I'm not.
They'll be coming to
Anyway.
Bray to meet you.
Anyway, I saw someone dip fries into their strawberry sundae and their strawberry milkshake. I'm just like, what are you doing? That is vile. And
No, it's not.
yes, it is. I tried it. It's fucking disgusting.
Okay,
I
so
haven't-
I've also tried that, and I was like, okay, this seems pretty fucked up. Dipping
So-
chips into a strawberry milkshake, but it was pretty good. I'm not gonna
So
lie.
hold on. So just to confirm, then the topic is weird food combinations. Yeah?
Weird food combinations and just weird
Or
food.
are we
in
just
general.
talking about dipping chips into milkshakes?
No. It's just different food combinations, and I've asked different people what they like, and some of them I'm just like, what the fuck are you on? Are you broken?
When I was growing up, I used to go around to my nan's with my mum and dad every weekend, and she would always give me a glass of Robinson's orange juice, and there would always be digestive biscuits on the table.
I thought you were saying the glass.
No,
Just
I've
totally unrelated.
I've always dipped biscuits in, or always seen people dip biscuits in drinks from whenever.
Yeah,
I've
but
gone
not
out.
orange juice.
Not orange
So
juice, man.
I tried dipping a digestive biscuit, and McVitie's, not sponsoring this show, McVitie's digestive biscuit
can if they
into
want.
a glass of Robinson's orange juice. And I tell you what, I would still do it today if I had either one of those things. It was
Okay.
delicious, and the
No.
absorbency
Really?
of that biscuit and all the sugar from the orange was fucking insane. It was the sweetest biscuit. It was like a Jaffa cake with no chocolate.
I tell you what, the top 5 ones here that we get, I'll make a video of them and try them on video just to see my reaction. Okay?
Okay, that sounds great.
Sounds like
Yeah,
a plan?
we'll make this. I like
Within fucking reason, okay?
I like people dip shite into their own cum. Like,
Yeah.
try that one.
Carl. No, but so
Free should mention that.
no. Fuck's sake. Anyway, another one was apple slices and cheddar cheese together.
That's all right.
That's not
all
weird.
right.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's
Cheese,
not weird
apple
at
and
all.
cheese.
Yeah, fruit and cheese is like a classic combination.
Food
Yeah.
and cheese.
They're the same thing.
I was like, well, yeah. I mean, casting a very
Can I just say, what was that laugh, Logue? Sounds like you're practicing your Hollywood laugh. What the fuck was that?
What
You can see his smile.
Better than last week. Better than last week.
The
laugh.
Swinburne.
Have you paid for a microtransaction for a new laugh and you're just trying this one out?
We're back to microtransactions. So, have any of you come across any weird food combinations?
Yeah, I knew somebody that liked to use strawberry ice cream sauce and pour that over just plain white basmati rice.
I thought I was going to say plain white cock then. I honestly thought we were going down that road.
That is kind of weird.
Just
Yeah,
that is
rice.
pretty strange.
yeah.
That is strange.
Strawberry sauce and rice, and that is a strange
Okay,
thing. Yeah.
that one I might actually try
Yeah.
just because.
Was that you, Darren, who did that then? Oh, it's
No, that wasn't me.
friend.
I had it was okay. They were young. It was growing up. And I had a friend that used to like do it to help him eat his like rice. So if he was like eating his food and couldn't finish his rice, it's like I don't know. It's like putting
Is it an essential
sugar in your
rice?
cough syrup, I guess, to make it easier to drink or whatever people do.
Not
But
like
it's rice.
not like
Rice is
vegetables.
lovely.
Glass of whiskey before bed to stop the nightmares. You know,
Got to eat that rice.
whatever helps you cope, man.
I knew a guy who put grass in brownies, which I thought was weird.
Like marijuana.
Yeah, I mean that's a common thing.
Yeah,
About
that's a pretty.
Yeah, that's pretty
No.
common.
No,
Wait, what? Are you talking about
No.
grass like that
I
cows
put
would eat?
grass. Yeah.
What? Why?
No, I was kidding. I was making a reference to some other brownies.
Shut up, Ben.
Yeah, no, but we all just thought you were.
Yeah.
Got a retarded friend. Hey, Carl, you know those brownies you make? No.
These brownies make me feel stupid.
I asked my dad as well what did he have any weird food combinations growing up, or what did he like. Now, taking into consideration my dad is 70, every single day on a Friday he'd come home and have a sugar sandwich.
Oh yeah, sugar
That's
and butter. like.
that's a common one over
No,
here.
I haven't heard of that.
Oh, fairy bread. Has anyone had fairy bread?
What the hell's
Oh,
fairy
It's,
bread?
it's hundreds and thousands on white bread with like butter.
I've heard this. I have heard this.
I was
yeah.
talking to someone about this the other day, yeah, and they hadn't
fine.
heard of this.
Weird, man.
This was like a staple at every kid's party in Australia. It's just white bread, butter, and then just hundreds and thousands.
Yeah,
of
Like
little
sprinkles.
millions. Sprinkles, yeah.
It's, fuck could you eat that?
It's
Yeah.
really, really sweet. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
great
like
for kids.
diabetes.
There's one for your list, Logue. Try that. It's so good.
I got another one. I used to eat Nutella spread with Skips prawn cocktail crisps.
See,
That's-
that doesn't sound too bad. That
is
sounds actually quite nice.
Yeah, it was strange, but it was good. As a kid, you just used to look at what was around the house. What could I just make a meal out of? Ooh, I've got prawn cocktail skips and some Nutella spread.
Actually, in McDonald's where I work at, another way you can because I work there, we can actually just take and stuff like that what we want on our break and make weird damn food combinations and stuff like that. There's a drink called.
You're using the term food very lightly there.
Very, very lightly. Yes, just bear with me. There's the raspberry ripple. It's kind of a really sweet, but the sauce in it tastes like the old 99 Screwballs type sauce that you'd get. It's really nice. But we also had like the raspberry flake McFlurry, and the raspberry sauce from that was absolutely vile. It just tasted like, you know, the Tesco jam donut sauce that you'd get inside them, the ones that are like for like 50 cents. If you mixed, it was absolutely disgusting. And if you mix the raspberry sauce with the actual flake and the ice creams, and then just get like some caramel sauce and stuff like that, and just mix everything there, it would be so damn good. It was like diabetes in a cup, and it was nasty. Well, it was nasty in a good way. It would leave you just like, oh, I hate myself. What have I done?
See, I've always had a problem with dipping one food item into something else. It's just never something I like doing. Like dipping Oreos in milk, dipping biscuits in tea.
You gotta do that.
Dipping. I mean, even putting a flake in an ice cream cone. Like, I hate it.
What about
eat the flake and I'll eat the ice cream.
Yeah,
but that's different. Those things are designed to go together. It's just like
not to be dipped. Like that's weird.
But that's like getting like fries and then having ketchup. You can put the ketchup on the fries, you can dip it in. It's not.
You got to dip it in that scenario because it gets soggy otherwise.
Which is why I dipped the Weetabix in the milk. You just proved my point. Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm saying like you would dip stuff like fries in this.
Yeah, but I said generally I don't like dipping things into things. It's just not a thing I like to do.
I don't really like it with biscuits.
Did you guys ever have Weetabix with just hot water? Again, another prime childhood story here. When he ran out of milk, just used to have it with boiled water.
Yeah.
Ben, here's breakfast.
So weird. I actually see. It reminds me of there's a subreddit.
That sounds really poor.
So there's a subreddit called Mad Lads, which are just people that think they're doing really mad things, but they're just like tame as fuck. And one of them is a guy being like, I don't give a fuck. And he's dipping an Oreo in water. And everyone's like, oh, this guy's a savage. You call the cops. Stop this. He's out of control.
That just reminds me of the kind of the fat kid going like, Coca-Cola, Pepsi glass, I don't give a fuck.
I'm racking my brain trying to think of like other weird combinations. My granddad, when he was alive, for breakfast, right? He used to get warm milk and put it in a bowl, and then get Weetabix and cornflakes and put both of them into the bowl, and then mash them up together to the point where it was just like a block. It wasn't like liquidy or mushy. It was just like solid, and it was cornflake like Weetabix mash, and then he'd eat it. I always thought that was really strange.
That's really odd.
If you guys want a cereal combo, try Crunchy Nut Cornflakes with Frosties and Bailey's milk. That'll blow your fucking mind.
Getting hammered first thing in the morning.
Does anyone here eat banana sandwiches?
Yes, banana and jam sandwiches. Fucking.
This one at work does.
Anyway, one sec, Ben. Do you slice your banana or do you mash it?
Usually slice.
That's an interesting question though, because you could mash it; it'd be like a spread.
Yeah.
I would always slice it. Mash it never even occurred to me.
No, but that's makes almost as much sense.
Could you like pre-mash your banana and stick it in like a little container and like take it out with a knife? Would that work?
Here's a fun thing to do. Get a really thin pin, stick it into a banana, and move it up and down at regular points in the banana, and then someone opens it and it's sliced on the inside.
You've got to get a needle and thread and thread it through each corner and then bring it back out. And then when you do it, it's like, oh my god, it's magic! It's pre-sliced. And if you do a karate chop action before it, it's like you're kind of like a ninja wizard.
Well, no, because then they know that you're the one that's after doing it. If you just leave it in the house for someone to just go eat a banana someday, and they're just alone in the house, and they're like, what happened?
Yeah. It's a ghost.
So
it's a ninja ghost.
One time I was at my granddad's house and I was like, have any coffee or tea? And he was like, no, we don't have like any of that. And he was like, here,
we don't have any of those strange things.
Coffee and tea.
We just be drinking tea.
And he was like, I'll get you something to drink. and he got a fucking stock cube and put it in a cup and gave it to me. And I was like,
no. It's like,
No,
do you
that's
know,
normal.
you know Bovril or whatever, Bovril.
Bovril, yeah.
Bovril, where it's like the concentrated meat juice, meat
Okay,
cum,
yeah.
and you put it in hot water, and it's just like you're just drinking a steak.
so weird.
So weird.
That's not quite the
I-
idea.
I'd say it's absolutely whopper though. I've never had it, but I'm in.
Nasty.
Meat drink.
Sure.
Hell yeah.
During the war, people used
During
to
the
mix-
war.
Right?
No, I do not remember that.
Doing the-
People used to mix Marmite with milk, hot milk. A spoon of Marmite with some
Oh
hot milk.
my lord. Why?
Yep.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Gary,
There's
they're
one-
at war. It's probably the least of the concern. This is an unpleasant meal.
Just eat them
That-
It's like, I'm
separately.
glad I'm alive.
There's one for you, Logue. You've got to do that one now.
What, Marmite and milk?
Yep.
Okay, first of all, I fucking hate Marmite.
Tough shit.
Aye, but if you like milk, it balances out. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So is that going on the list? Marmite and milk?
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
All right.
milk.
Yeah, it's hot
Hot
milk.
milk.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take
milk.
plus milk.
If anyone was wondering how to spell Marmite, now you know.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, going back to tea. Would you put? I know some of you don't put sugar in your tea, but I put a little bit of honey in my tea just to sweeten it up.
Looks
Regular
like tea. Tastes like fucking tea.
Pardon?
I like tea to taste like tea. If I'm going to have honey in it, I'm going to have like lemon and honey tea.
Are
But
you
I like
talking
like normal
honey
tea.
in
You still
regular
feel very
tea?
passionate about this.
Yeah, in regular tea. Yeah, I
Carl likes
like the
tea.
I like the taste of it. It's quite nice
Have you ever seen butter being?
in tea.
I've seen it in coffee.
What?
Have you ever
What?
People
seen
try to
butter
put
being
butter in coffee.
Who the fuck does that? What?
It was a health kick once because of some kind of fucking type of fat that was in the butter, and it used to release something in the coffee or some shit, because it got digested really quickly. It's a load of bullshit. It didn't pan out. We're onto coconut oil and shit like that now.
People are really stupid, huh?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Do you know what really grinds my gears?
Are we allowed to say that? Is that copyrighted?
Family Guy references?
Copyrighted.
You know what really grinds my gears? When you go to the cinema with somebody and they're like, yeah, let's just get like a bag of Maltesers and a box of popcorn and then put the cunting fucking Maltesers in the popcorn.
I love that.
I've never seen
Fuck
anyone do that.
you. Fuck anyone.
it's
That's the worst thing. It's salty melted Maltesers and chocolate all over your fucking popcorn. That is disgusting.
Salt and
That
sweetness.
just reminded me of something of that my cousin sent me a photo on Snapchat. My cousin Nadine turned around and sent me a Snapchat of her having a Chinese, like a beef curry or chicken curry or like that with rice, chips, and she had put fucking Maltesers in it and said, "Don't knock it till you tried it." And I said I was going to bring it up on this.
Honestly,
what?
Honestly, that probably would work better than the popcorn and Maltesers because I feel like it's even like crisps and chocolate as well. Like that kind of like starchy, like savoriness with the chocolate doesn't work. But if it's like melting into a curry,
I think it works.
You can have like.
and it's like a
chocolate
crouton.
and
It's like
curries. That's the thing you see
the malt
somewhere.
is like a crouton in the soup.
Disgusting.
I
I have a good food combo that you can try, Logue. You know, the whole salted caramel and all that shit.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not saying try salted caramel because that's just delicious anyway.
Okay,
right.
we'll beg to differ on that.
Try raspberries and black pepper.
Sorry, Ben. One sec. Gary, what the hell was that?
Don't like salted caramel? What the fuck?
It's not that I don't like it. It's just not my forte.
You got to get the balance right. You can't have something where you can taste the salt. It's just going to be a supercharged caramel.
Anyway, Ben, what were you saying?
Try raspberries and black pepper.
Raspberries and black pepper.
Yeah.
You say
That's
that. You said raspberries like you didn't know what a raspberry was.
I was actually writing it down at the same time.
Raspberries. It's like you're feeling the word out on your mouth because you've never said it before.
Yes. What is this raspberry you speak of?
It's a gourmet tip for you. That's what the big guys use. It's what Gordon Ramsay uses. Black pepper.
I thought you just meant
raspberries.
large men.
That's what the giants use.
Okay, so I've got fairy bread, Marmite, and milk, and raspberries and pepper that I have to create.
Black pepper, freshly ground.
I've-
Put that
Shit
in-
and cum. Don't forget the shit and cum.
I am not. We're not like Carl. I don't want to taste people's cum.
Okay, let's just get back on board here and just avoid that topic of conversation.
So every day for school, I used to eat cheese sandwiches, and then I found out I was slightly lactose intolerant, so I had to stop doing that. and I didn't like ham or any of that bullshit on sandwiches. So I used to have
any of that bullshit.
all the normal person stuff for sandwiches I didn't like. So I used to eat tomato sandwiches with pepper. And, like, that was my staple every
That's a
day.
good sandwich.
Tomato,
Just tomato and pepper. Is that it?
Yeah, that's not too outlandish.
To be honest, for a moment there, when you said that you would normally have the cheese sandwich, I thought you were going to say then that you started using 2 pieces of cheese and then one piece of bread in between them. For some reason, I thought that's where it was going.
That would be brilliant.
It's like that's the trend now, isn't it? It's like KFC are doing, like, they have a thing now where it's like 2 pieces of chicken and then a sandwich filling.
Yeah,
I see.
You'll hold the 2
It's
pieces
called
of chicken.
Double down. Yeah,
Double
the
down.
only reason I know this is because right beside our building is a KFC, and there's a big fucking poster called "Get your new double down." It's just like 2 bits of.
But it says like get your new double down, because they say it twice because it's
Double down. Yeah,
Right.
but
In
it's
America,
2 like
it's,
chicken fillets. But
in-
it's over here. It's. Go ahead.
in Taco Bell in America, they do tacos. But when I was leaving America, they had introduced a chicken taco where it's just a taco, but instead of it being a hard shell or a soft shell, it's actually just a chicken breast.
Wow. That
And then
sounds
you fill it, and I'm just like, oh, it does. It sounds so good.
That actually sounds fucking delicious.
Taco Bell, guys, seriously, if you ever have a chance, it is the greatest place on the planet. They have a thing called a Crunchwrap Supreme, which is just like a flat hard shell taco with the fillings all on top of it, then wrapped in a soft shell wrap. And it's like this, so it's like soft and then crunchy in the middle and all of the filling, and you can get extra meat and extra cheese on it, and then get some spicy dip, and it is the
That
best
sounds
thing.
amazing. I was
Best
saying
hangover
a while
food in
ago,
the world.
But
We
doesn't
don't have a
Taco Bell
good-
get shit?
We don't have a good Mexican restaurant here, like a good Mexican takeaway or anything.
Mhm.
We got Chinese, we've got Indian food, we've got pizza, we've got those dirty fucking kebabs, but there's no good Mexican food.
I thought you were going to say the dirty
Say
fucking
dirty.
Mexicans.
In the best possible sense. But yeah, we have no Mexican food takeaways. Nothing would be awesome on a night out to just go grab a burrito or a taco or something else.
Well, then there you've got your little niche in the market. Go do it.
So we have loads of burrito places in Dublin, but they're all kind of like, they're not chains. You might have 2 or 3 or 4 of the same place, but they all close at like 8 at the latest. It's not like Taco Bell, which is basically just a Mexican McDonald's, and it's open like ridiculously late, and it's really quick. And yeah, sure, it's not healthy, but my fiance Bridget always says, like, she read an article one time where they voted it the healthiest of the worst places to eat. To the healthiest side of McDonald's, KFC, the Burger Kings, the real like shitty places. It's the best out of all of them, which is not a great justification, but it's that little bit of a push you need just to eat it 6 days a week.
Sad
Take a
thing is,
break
there
on
are
the seventh
people
day.
who come. There's people who come into work every single day, 7 days a week, and order the same food. No, customers. Who
Did
come
you
in
say
all the
every
time.
single day, 7 days a week?
I think I did. Anyway, I digress. They come in every single day and order McDonald's all the time, and some people come in twice a day.
And order something else.
No,
That's
But,
actually
like,
something.
How the fuck can you eat the same food all the time like that?
I can do that. That's no
Yeah.
problem. If I like something, I'll eat it. I won't mix it up if I like what I like. But
Yeah, same.
I remember being in a McDonald's one time, and the guy walks in, and they're like, "Oh, how's it going, Jim?" He's like, "Not too bad. How are you, Robert?" And then the other guy's like, "Oh, it's Bill," and Bill's like, "Oh, how's it going?" And like, everyone in the McDonald's knew this guy, and I'm like, that's not a good thing. When you are such a regular customer at McDonald's, that you have that type of rapport with the people that work there.
Maybe.
I don't know, that happens all the time. There's a guy who comes into the drive-thru and he orders 4 large Diet Coke, a double cheeseburger, and twisty fries, and he'll do that one in the middle of the afternoon. He'll come in the morning and order 3 large Diet Coke, and when he goes home from work, he'll order another 3 large Diet Coke every single day.
Are you saying 3 large Diet Cokes?
Yep.
What the?
With the
Every
amount
si-
of ice in those, you won't finish one before the rest of them are just water.
We have no idea. Does he give them to someone else, or is he just drinking them all himself? But he does it 3 times a day.
Jeez. That brings up an interesting question then. What
What's the question?
is the one food that you could always eat if you could only eat one? Like
Toast.
that you'd never get sick of.
Pussy.
Custard.
Custard.
Yeah, Cathal has this weird thing about custard.
I love custard.
If I could eat only one thing, I do love fucking chicken wings. I don't like fucking chicken wings. I fucking love chicken wings.
You can do a lot of stuff with
like
chicken wings.
And you can do a lot of stuff with them, like put your dick in them.
God damn it. Of course.
I like the way we had two serious topics, and then we just started talking about fucking food.
Two serious topics and one big just have a laugh.
I like chicken wings, and I like hot sauce on them, but I also like the Cajun ones, sweet chili ones, barbecue ones. I mean, there's just so much you could do. There's so much variety. There's the ones that look like drumsticks, ones that need a bit more work. You know, the two bones. It's just
Ones that look like dinosaurs.
great fun. That's only the one that comes to mind, though. I mean, I'd be happy like eating like porridge. I fucking love porridge.
Man, that will get dull so quickly. Just eating.
I had porridge ruined for me because during first year of college, I lived with my auntie, and she was always a big advocate of making a big thing of porridge for everybody in the morning. Then everybody would eat, a bit of that before they left.
No.
Yeah. But what she also did was she made it with water, just water.
What?
So she would literally just get the oats, put them on a pot, and cook them until they were just fucking mush.
You see,
And then
the perfect recipe here
Pretty much.
for porridge is a mix between water and milk.
Yeah.
And blueberries and banana slices and stuff like that.
Honey.
No,
Salt.
honey's too unhealthy. Bit of salt. But yeah, blueberries. I just like sprinkle a few blueberries, like Salt, the Salt Lad. That meme guy into the
like this. Sorry, that took me a second. It's like what?
The meme, Salt fella.
Yeah.
Salt
That's what they call him. Salt.
Salty.
I thought that's Salt Bay. I think.
I know. Yeah, I call him the Salt Ghost though. That's
Salt
right now.
Salt.
Anyway, Gary, what would your food be if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life?
I really don't know. I've been thinking about it. I mean, I guess just like steak is really versatile. You can like have a steak. You can like, do a bunch of different. Yeah. You can have.
No. You can only have the same type of food. You can only like have the same meal.
So like the same dish.
Yeah, the exact same dish. You can't have you can only eat chicken wings. The same chicken wings all over again.
Steak 5 ways.
Steak. I really don't know. I'll ask everybody else. I'll keep thinking.
If it was the same chicken wings, I'd get small boneless wings from Buffalo Wild Wings, 1/2 sweet barbecue, 1/2 Asian zing, and I would eat that every day of my life because, honestly, I would eat that every day of my life. It's there's nothing.
Wait, did you say boneless wings?
Yes, boneless wings. It's like
that-
wings, but
is that
there's
just a
less
nugget?
effort.
Wouldn't that be?
No,
nuggets?
yeah, no, it is basically a nugget, but they call them boneless wings. So I call
okay.
them boneless wings. They're
Fair
fantastic.
enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they have this. They're really crunchy on the outside as well, and they're just so good, man. You'll have them when you come to America. There's no
Carl?
way you're missing out on some Buffalo Wild Wings.
Are you gonna stick with toast?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's probably my favourite. It's probably what I've eaten all my life and never got bored with. In fact,
You're a
I dare say all of you have probably had toast more than any other food.
No.
No, I don't like bread.
No. I eat 7 chickens a week.
Custard.
I probably had cornflakes probably more than anything else,
Weetabix for me.
or
actually,
Weetabix.
yeah.
Honestly,
Eggs.
one of those two. Like it's the breakfast things. I feel like I have little variety in.
Well, yeah, it's the morning. You just want something quick and simple.
That's not a fair thing to say. It's the most important meal of the day.
I have
Yeah, but
21
I always
eggs.
want something.
No lifestyle.
Well,
Just say you have
it's
21 eggs.
Emotionally, the
Yeah.
most important meal of the day.
Maybe for
I
you.
have
Well, I'm
21
not talking. I
eggs
can't
a week.
speak for everyone on the planet.
You are the supreme leader.
I am the supreme leader.
Kim Jong-un, please don't nuke us. You are the supreme leader.
We'll cut
I
that
know
out.
you kind of feel sorry for them at the moment though, because they're really trying. They're trying to get their nukes across the fucking ocean. They just can't though.
They're meant to be
Falling
launched
short.
in the next little while.
I have a
How we
question.
Go for it.
Who are these old wives?
The old wives'
What's your
tales.
vibes?
I feel like these old wives are just telling a lot of stories and not actually doing much else. They all just decide one day to meet up and just spread a load of rumors about things.
It's pretty much how it goes. Stand at town hall like 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it's like, right, we'll just tell everyone that breakfast is really important so we
Yeah.
can get them out of bed in the morning.
Well,
We're like,
it is the most important meal of the day.
And they
It's a
sacrifice
sacrifice.
a lamb or something.
Why is it the most important
Yeah,
meal of the day?
Not really. There's
Because it breaks the fast from the night before because you haven't eaten in 12 hours.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of
12
sleeping.
hours?
That
Maybe
you
for
don't
you.
use fuel. Like you barely use any food when you sleep. You don't wake up and you're like, fucking hell, I'm starving.
I do. I'm a
sometimes.
hungry
Yeah, I do
fucker when I
too.
wake up.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, I guess
You
not.
need respiration. You need energy from food. So I guess they say it is because, like, if you line your stomach, you can go out and do a day's work, and then you're good until late, maybe 1-2 o'clock before you get really hungry again. But if you left the house and went to work, you'd probably be working like an hour, and you're like, okay, well now I'm really hungry. So I guess it probably came about because they were just like, that's the time before you go to work that you can just build up that reserve of energy to keep it going.
Yeah, but if you worked like in the evenings, if you started working at, let's say 1, then lunch would be the most important meal of the day because it's just having energy to go and do the things you need to do. There's nothing special about the food you eat just when you get up or the food you eat at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
No,
If
I'm
you
guessing-
worked later, wouldn't you wake up later? Breakfast isn't defined by time; it's defined
When
by
you
your
break the
first
fast.
meal. Of
Yeah, but it depends on the person. Some people, if they started working at 1, would get up at 12, or some people would get up at 9 and have a bit of a day beforehand. I personally would get up later, but if you were up for a few hours beforehand, then it would be the meal you eat before you go to work.
I'm guessing this all stems back from when, like, 50, 60 years ago when we didn't have all this, like, oh, yeah, you're working, like, at 5 o'clock in the evening, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or doing it overnight. Just everyone would get up at a certain time. And
Are you
then
saying
like,
that
oh,
at
yeah,
one
breakfast.
point? Are you saying at one point in the existence of humanity, people all worked at the same time?
not just one point.
Is that what you're
50, 60
saying?
years ago.
50, 60 years ago, nobody worked night shifts. No one was like, better stand guard from all these natural predators and enemies that we're at war with.
Wait, what? 50, 60 years?
Everyone's in bed.
You know what I mean. In
I
general.
don't, Logue, I don't.
My granddad used to guard the town from tigers and the penny actually. That was his job. But he would, in fairness, get up at 9 o'clock in the morning. He always says breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You don't get a good breakfast, your whole village will be-
How old was his wife?
Eaten by the Siberian tigers of Armagh.
I would love a tiger to get released somewhere in Ireland just for the hell of it.
Bray.
So I was watching
Right.
Scarface the other week, and in Scarface there's a scene where they get married, and then they walk down the grass, and then just have this tiger just tied up under the ridge, and he's like, "Hey, it's a tiger," and then it's never referenced again, or you don't see the tiger again. Like, what's going on there?
He has a fucking tiger. Like, what more?
But he
explanation?
didn't really have a tiger because it was hanging out outside the church under a bridge. It wasn't like it didn't have a collar on it. It wasn't like
Is it just like rented? I don't know.
you rent a tiger for the wedding and then just
you rent
basically just have him hidden under a bridge for the ceremony.
Yeah, surprise
Well,
tiger.
Yeah.
Well, Darren, would you go
No,
put a
but
collar on a tiger?
Crouching tiger. Crouching bridge, hidden tiger. Okay, so getting back on topic, weird food combinations. Does anyone else eat any other weird food combinations?
It's not so much a combination, and it's not
So much food.
Or weird.
it's the drink. But I just I'm wondering, has anyone else heard of this? Something that we used to get, like when I'd go out surfing or doing any kind of water
You know
sports
what you're
when I was
gonna
younger. Whenever you come in, because the water's quite cold here, we'd always get hot juice, and it wasn't juice, it was like a dilute, so like Robinson's or whatever.
Yeah.
Just heat it up in a thermos. Like, did anyone else drink that growing up?
Yeah,
That was so
absolutely.
good.
Anytime you come home from the beach or come home from swimming, yeah.
Remember, like the first time I had that, the instructor was like, "Here, drink this," and he hands it around. Everyone's like, "What's that?" And you taste it. It's just it's shocking because you're so used to having like Robinson's or My Wadi or whatever with cold water, but it's so good warm.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
good
Ribena.
warm.
fucking
I
delicious.
don't think I've ever had dilute warm.
It's so good, man.
Try it.
Like,
Literally,
for a
don't think
cold-
I've ever had it.
cold winter, like it's so good. Yeah, as you go surfing, if you're out kayaking for the day and you get cold and your body's cold, like drinking coffee and stuff is grand and all, but or tea, but it's like it's a little bit special because you get a sugar kick as well, which gives you the quick energy you need.
Yeah, see, I've never been a big
Functional.
fan of dilute anyway because there's some sweeteners that I'm kind of allergic to, and they're like very commonly used in those
Mm.
dilutes. So
Aspartame.
yeah, that one, aspartame. Yeah. But yeah, I've never had warm dilute. It just sounds like it'd be weird. Like you said, I always associated with it being a cold drink. You know, like it's like drinking a hot water. So it's just like fuck, like it's weird. Like, I suppose that's another one as well. One of my old aunties used to just have cups of water. Like everybody would have tea, and she'd be like, "I'll have a cup of hot water," and she would just drink a fucking cup of hot water. It's like,
Okay, no, that is weird.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not even a food combination, like Evan said. Not exactly food or a combination, but hot water. Just drinking a cup of hot water.
I
Okay.
came downstairs from a couple of weeks ago. Came downstairs, woke up, and I was greeted by the sight of Emily eating last night's Chinese on toast, and it was
That
pretty
sounds
much
quite
just
delicious,
noodles
actually.
on toast.
I have never had a noodle sandwich.
Oh, there's one. I've had a noodle sandwich. It was pretty
What's a
fucking good.
A noodle sandwich is a sandwich with noodles in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be reverse where I just dip the bread in the noodles.
Never heard
No,
of
no,
that.
no. I've done it before
Noodles
where
are
I made like noodles. You know, the just the regular ones in the packet. You know, you make them in the pot or whatever.
No,
And-
I don't know what.
Super
Yeah.
noodles.
These are like the
Expand.
packed
Coca
noodles.
noodles.
That you, kind of, yeah, kind of like Coca
I know,
noodles.
I know.
with
I'm just
water,
fucking with them. I'm just fucking with them. Yeah.
and just put them on a bit of
I
bread,
know.
fold it over, and eat it. And it's like I've never had that. And people, I've said it to people, and they're like, "Wait, what? How you never had a noodle sandwich?"
Well, it's just fucking carbs and carbs. It's like
It
patty
sounds
butters, yeah.
nasty.
Patty butters and all.
A what?
And chip butties. And chip butties.
Yeah,
I
chip
do love a
butties,
good
patty
chip buddy.
butters.
I do love a good
Carbon
chip
carbon.
sandwich.
Yeah.
No one calls them chip sandwich, chip butty. Get it right.
Fuck off, you're English.
Why is carb and carb not acceptable, yet protein and protein or veg and veg is absolutely fine?
Who the fuck eats veg on veg?
Loads of people have veg
Vegetarians.
on veg.
That's
Like
shit.
mixed, you can even buy a
Stir fry.
bag of mixed vegetables in the supermarket.
Yeah, but you don't just eat that. You
actually put them
toast
in
something
stuff.
else.
Is that not just one?
because you're
veg?
meant because carbs are false energy and advertising.
What about salad? That's veg on veg.
It
On
is.
veg, on veg, on veg, on
Veg
veg.
on
Yeah,
veg on
but-
veg on veg on veg.
There'd be some form of protein in there with me because I'd always put chicken or something into it.
I want to tell you guys something. Something that I've kind of always lived
Okay.
my life by, and I want to see how many people are in agreement with me and how many people view it differently.
Okay.
For me, any meal except breakfast, this kind of applies to, and maybe supper. But when I'm having a meal like lunch or dinner, the main object of my kind of decide, like the main thing that I use to decide on what I'm going to eat, and kind of the crux of any meal I have, is the meat or the protein. So I don't go and sit there and go, I'd love some potatoes or I'd love some carrots. I decide if I want what meat I want to eat, and then decide the meal around that meat. And that meat to me is always the star of the show, if you like, of any meal I eat. It's the primary protagonist.
I would
yes
agree.
and
in
no.
Meals that have meat in them. You know, like
But I'm not eating a meal if it doesn't have meat.
I thought
Yeah,
you were
but like, say
vegan.
for instance,
Ever.
if I was making, like, I was making lunch and it's like, oh, I'll make some pasta, and I'd just make some like pasta with like pesto, bit of passata. I'd season it up. It tastes really good, but there's no meat there, and it's
I've never done that in my entire life.
I'd do it with
Yeah.
cheese and meat. I could work the meal around the cheese, be like what type of cheese I want, or the meat.
Like apples.
And to be honest, like
Like
I
apples, yeah.
only realized like maybe in the last year or so that like a lot of people just don't do that. And just for me, it's like my whole life I've been like, yeah, what meal is today? And by what meal is what meat am I eating?
I'm the same. I have eggs for breakfast, then I think about whether I'll have salad with it or whether I'll have rye. And then
Have
same
what?
for my lunches and my snacks. Okay, I've got some jerky in the drawer. I'll have some jerky with a banana or whatever. I'll have some nuts with an apple. Every meal and snack will circle around meat and protein for me as well. Probably excessively so. Like I say, I have 21 eggs a week, and I probably go through, or I went through in my peak.
No more, no less.
What's 3 a day?
21 eggs.
There's 7 days in
The
the week.
tale of one man's journey and 21.
What happens if you accidentally break the first egg of the week? Do you
I always buy 30 eggs because you can't just buy 21, you dumbass. Can't
Then what
21
happens if you
eggs.
break 10 eggs accidentally? Like it
Starring-
dropped his back
Then I
and-
would ask someone to make eggs for me because
In
I've obviously got
yolks.
Parkinson's disease. Dropping fucking eggs everywhere.
That's
But yeah,
fucking
in
terrible.
my peak, I think I used to eat about 5 chickens a week as well, worth of chicken breast. So I'd have 2 chicken breasts a day, and then
A
I'd
tale
relax
of one man's
weekend.
journey to single-handedly exterminate chicken kind.
Kill every
I'll get
fucking
them all.
chicken in this place.
Ben walks onto a chicken farm, all the chickens stop and just turn their head like,
But in terms of protein, you can't really go too wrong with chicken produce. Like really, like
Oh yeah, an egg. An egg is a perfect source of protein.
chicken breasts or an egg. Like because like eating red meat, is apparently worse. I'm not too sure why, but apparently chicken is a good
It's
solid one to
typically
go by.
fattier, right? Red
Yeah,
meat.
some of the
Yeah.
bacteria that carries over from the animal will go into red meat easier than white meat, and fattier. There's other things in there as well, but an egg is the only. I think it's the only food available that contains all 8 essential amino acids. So if it was rarer, it would be worth a fortune. But because it's so commonplace, I think we're really lucky. But people who don't eat eggs are fucking idiots.
Do you know what I hate? I hate when people put sauce on a steak.
Yeah.
If you want sauce with your steak, have it on the side. Have it like as somewhere where you can dip or sprinkle a little bit on. I hate when you order a steak and they fucking lather it in pepper sauce because basically what that tells me is it's a shitty fucking steak.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
usually a pretty good sign.
Hate that.
it's like if I want my sauce on the steak, I'll cut it up and dip it into my sauce.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Exactly.
I think
But
you can
fucking
tell.
lathering it on is awful.
I think
It's
you can
just-
tell you're about to have a good steak if they give you the sauce on the side.
Oh yeah.
Both.
Like,
That's
yeah,
the
I'm in
best
for
way
a
to
good
get your
steak.
sauce.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in videos of music videos where people are just like have really
Videos.
good looking girls and just flashing hair everywhere and stuff like that. You can tell that you're gonna focus on the video itself and not the actual song. And you're just like, oh yeah, ooh, pretty shiny, ooh.
There's a lot of
Such a-
songs I
such a
find that are
loose
made
record.
better by music videos. Those where you listen to a song, you're like, that's fine, and then you watch a music video and you're like, I like this better. And not because there's a pair of tits or something in your face or something stupid, but like Thriller, yeah, it's a very good example.
If Ed Sheeran's music,
Everyone
videos
knows the
were-
music video and the dance for Thriller.
Yeah.
If all of
Oh, yeah.
you know, if all of Ed Sheeran's music videos were him getting the shit kicked out of him, I'd be well into Ed Sheeran's music.
That's terrible.
just
I actually
say-
like Ed Sheeran.
Yeah,
well,
well,
fuck off, Logue,
you've
you
got
cunt.
terrible taste. in
Can I just
everything,
say, he got voted by, was it GQ or whatever it was, the Q Awards, whatever the fucking low rate fucking award thing it was. He got voted best act in the world. He won the award for best act in the world, and he doesn't even have any arms anymore. I mean, what the fuck?
As a
What?
redhead, I'm fucking embarrassed. Like,
Doesn't have any arms.
no, he lost.
What do you mean he's no hair? Fuck.
He lost his arms.
What?
Yeah,
What?
Yeah,
he's still the best guitar player this side of.
that's because he just slums his fucking cock on it. But like,
No, he's broken both his arms. I think he's broken his wrist and his arm. So both.
How
of
did he
them are
manage
slim.
this?
He had a bike accident, I think.
God,
Not that I'm
Gotcha.
in too much into
I
his
did hear
life,
that.
but I will fucking get him next time.
I still miss my ex-girlfriend, but my aim is improving.
That's so bad.
Yeah, he's. I don't rate him, to be honest. There's one song that I can tolerate, but that's because I
yours.
watched it in context. It's make
Which
it
one is it?
Make It Rain. I don't know which. I think it was a Multiply or whatever that album's called. But I watched it in context in an episode of Sons of Anarchy, and that's why I think it's a decent song because I've seen it in context.
Spoiler alert, Ben. What part of Sons of Anarchy is that?
It's the. You know what? I'm not sure. Even though I said it's a decent song, I can't reference the scene that I watched it in. It's one of the I don't want to spoil anything because there's people in this group that want to watch Sons of Anarchy. I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert! Cover your fucking ears. What scene is
One
it?
sec. One
I
sec.
think
One
it's
sec.
one of the pinnacle scenes where somebody gets killed. Now it's either Jax Teller's girlfriend, where he's by himself, and his mum. It was so brutal.
His
she
mum
was just
stabs her in the
drowning
back of the head
and
with a knife.
No, it was with an ice pick. Or was it?
Was
that?
it the ice? No, I
Yeah,
thought
it
it was
was
like okay.
It was an ice pick. Yeah.
In the back, I fucking hated.
Oh
his
no!
girlfriend so much.
It was
I was
the
like,
fork.
yes.
It was the fork you
It was a
used
fork.
to cleave meat. You know the big 2-pronged.
Yeah, he just gets her in the back of the head with it. I
Don't
hated
drown
her
in it.
character so much. She was
Yeah,
the
all-
worst.
Who, Gemma or the wife?
The wife. Oh my god, I hated
Oh,
her.
I thought the mum. All the problems that throughout every season were all generated from Gemma getting just shit
Not-
wrong and
Not
fucking
talking
things
to
up.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those scenes where either someone dies, like the OP scene. I got that song saved because that fucking tears me apart. Such a good point to reference, especially as an actor, if I need to get in that zone. But this Make It Rain.
That's where he gets
another
killed in the
big
prison,
song.
right? Like randomly just killed in the prison.
Yeah, it's the song that's played over his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
What a song!
He was the best character.
He
OP,
was, yeah.
It
big
all
time.
went downhill from there.
Oh yeah.
What a fucking beard. Jesus Christ. It was
And
two,
he was
he was
massive
two
as well.
characters. He was two characters.
It
Him and
started
the
out a bit as a big lad, wasn't he? It wasn't fat. He carried the weight well, but then he just turned into this tank with his beard and just his zero fucking shits attitude.
He got a ponytail at one point as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
If I
went
remember right?
super long hair. Yeah,
Mm.
down to his shoulders. But yeah, so yeah, I think in context, one song from Ed Sheeran is acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my point.
Although I like We See Fire from
From The Hobbit.
The Hobbit. Yeah.
What was that song
Yeah.
called?
When they were
I
like
See
Ed
Fire.
Sheeran is
I See
writing the
Fire.
song for The Hobbit, I was like, well, that's the lowest point.
Oh wait,
the
no, I
Middle
only
Earth
like the
story.
glitch version of that. The
There was a,
live-
I thought you
there was
said
a remix.
From a
of it.
bass version,
The
the
remix
remix,
of
yeah.
it was all right.
The remix is okay.
I thought
Anyway,
you said Pussy Fire.
Back on track.
Okay.
Okay,
So, has anyone got any final thoughts on the actual?
that's my fucking job.
That's all
Cut
it
that
was,
part
yeah.
out. Shut the fuck up. Are you the host? Are you?
Well, of this segment, I thought I was.
I'm going to put fucking distortion on it.
I let you introduce the topic. I mediate it. So, guys, any last thought about any strange food combinations?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Nah, shit topic, Logue. Don't bring up again.
Look, what's your list of foods that you're going to eat?
I've got 3 of them because that's like the only ones that I found.
We need
okay.
2 more then. We need 2 more. We need list
Was
of 5.
fairy bread because Marmite and milk and
Hot milk.
raspberry. Sorry, I'll fucking change that now. Hot milk. Cross that out. Happy?
This better not be on your Snapchat story. This better be a proper
No, it's a proper
produced
video.
Yeah.
Good.
A series of 5 videos or one long one.
No,
One
one
long
long one. One long one.
Yeah, I'm watching 5 of your videos.
Sounds like an Asian person's name.
I was talking to a woman at work just on that point, and she messaged me to say, "Are you coming for lunch?" But she didn't say, "Are you coming for lunch?" She put, "Coming for din dins," and I said that reminds me of the Korean prostitute I met on Saturday last week. She said the same thing.
I seen this picture and I was like, when you're searching a bookstore and can't find what you're looking for, you must be in. And it's a picture of this Asian bookstore. And it's called Wong Fu King Bookstore. So yeah, what's the list? Sorry, list.
Yeah.
I've got fairy bread, which is what the 100,000 butter and just bread.
Yeah, white bread.
Okay,
Has to be
white bread.
Yeah.
Fuck
Is it
it,
bread or
racist.
toast?
White bread.
Is it bread or toast?
Racist. White bread, butter and hundreds and thousands. Milk, Marmite with hot milk and raspberry and black pepper.
I think we need to turn it into a meal rather than just a raspberry and some black pepper. So have like raspberry jam on toast, but make
Raspberry- okay.
Put some custard on it.
Get some fresh raspberries.
Should have a cup of hot water too.
A cup of hot water.
Watch it down with a cup of hot
Yeah,
water.
that is one.
Hot water's going on the list just because.
Make sure it's boiling.
You just see this buffet.
Throw down of you, Logue.
Your dad's gonna come in while you've got all this fucking food on the go.
Logue, are you
Failed.
pregnant?
Yes, I am.
So what's the fifth? What's the fifth one?
I'll let you decide. And not
No,
nasty.
white basmati rice with
Yes.
strawberry ice cream
Oh
sauce.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
white rice and what sauce? Strawberry.
Strawberry, specifically strawberry. The ones that come in the tub, not the tub, but the
Squeezy-
container
squeezy.
that looks, the squeezy thing that looks like it's an ice cream cone, and the screw off lid is the ice cream. So you screw off
Oh,
the ice
so
cream.
yeah, I know when you're talking about rice and strawberry sauce.
Oh
Ice
shit!
cream,
I
strawberry
just
ice
thought
cream
of one
sauce.
actually. One of my friends, when I was younger, used to put ketchup on popcorn.
What?
Yeah, okay, that's going on the list.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus
you
Christ.
should do
Ketchup
that
and
one.
Hill just by
I'm taking out
itself,
the
right?
hot water out because like hot water is like just
Yeah, it's just hot water. I didn't mean for you to drink a cup of hot water.
Give us your thoughts on that cup of hot water, Logue.
It's like what weird food combinations? Heat and water.
It's not really food, and it's not really a combination.
It's just boiling water. Ketchup and what? Popcorn?
Yeah.
Popcorn.
Which popcorn? Caramel.
No,
No, it was always butter popcorn.
just butter popcorn. Okay.
Ketchup and butter popcorn.
So
Savory.
You should put some Maltesers in there too.
Yeah.
For the full experience.
no, because like I would like Maltesers and popcorn anyway. So
Yeah, but maybe the ketchup and the chocolate
not-
will go really well together.
no.
That's what
Guys-
really brings the meal together, the ketchup.
So do you want me to do this video for the release of this podcast and have it on
Yeah.
afterwards?
I want you to do it.
Yeah,
I
we'll
want
do
you to go
it
to the
sometime
store right now.
No,
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll shoot it next Saturday.
Okay.
So we'll see it in about 2 weeks on the podcast.
No, this Sunday.
In reference, we'll see it in 2 weeks because this will go out next week.
Oh yes.
And then
No, we'll be going out with this one.
if it's not instant upload, we have to do a little bit of work to get this out to the public so they can enjoy it, cut out all your sniffs and burps, and then publish it. But then the next podcast will be the week after.
Okay, fair enough. I understand. Yeah.
Okay, and on that note, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in for today's episode of the Mountains of Madness podcast. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you laughed. I hope you cried. You know, I hope you've leave this podcast a better person because I know we all have. Thanks very much, and I love every single one of you.
Cool.
You guys can say goodbye now.
All right. Goodbye.
Aw, bye.
Goodbye now.
Wave at the camera, slow pan out.
Gonna get
Goodbye.
my-
Goodbye.
Bye.